Hello everybody, welcome to Dulcimerica. My name is Futch, and it's a casual Friday. It has been. Just decided to roll out of bed and shoot an episode. That happens every once in a while during the winter season, but thank you very much for joining me. We are going to continue along with our study of fundamental mountain dulcimer stuff. For those of you who just joined the mountain dulcimer family, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about chords, how to build them, how to move them around, and how to have some fun. And this is going to go hand in hand with the last episode talking about pitches, notes, scales, chromatic versus diatonic, and all that good stuff. It's very small little bits of music theory that'll help you become a better player. And I know it sounds scary, but music theory is really a wonderful thing. It's just a language basically, and I know it's very tough to learn languages down the road sometimes, but this is one of the more easier languages to learn and pick up, and I'm here to help you make that happen. But before I go any further, I want to say howdy to one of my patrons on Patreon, Diane Reese. Diane, thank you very much. And to all of my patrons, I am just very much adoring you every single day because you help me to put this show together. You help me put books together, videos. You help grease the rails of this roller coaster. And I am very grateful for every single one of you. So thank you, Diane, and all my patrons. I got your backs, guys. Got your backs. Now, if you guys are wondering out there what Patreon is, basically it's a subscription service for all of my art. Videos, tablature, books, everything I do, you can have it for $5 a month. Everything I've ever done and everything I'm doing every single week. When I write a new song or print a new tablature, it goes right out to my patrons and nowhere else. So if you're interested in finding out more, visit patreon.com/bingfutch. Go to the featured tag section, visit the open house, and download to your heart's content. And please do consider becoming a patron because even $5 a month helps to make this show happen. Diane, again, thank you very much. The sun is coming through the window. I got to keep moving. So we're talking about chords today, and it's going to follow through with everything that we talked about in the previous episode. So what are chords exactly? Well, let's just review. We've got notes, and we use the first 7 letters of the Latin alphabet to name our notes: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now, each one of those notes can be a different pitch as well. So a D can also be a D up here, as well as here. All 3 of those are Ds. They're the same note, but they're all 3 different pitches: low, medium, and high on the scale. So we have notes and we have pitches. When you have 2 notes, what you have now is a relationship between this note and that relationship we describe in terms of intervals, how far away one note is from another. And each pair of intervals, from the lowest being a minor second, or a unison really would be the lowest, the same note to a minor second, all the way up inside the octave to a major 7th, and then going to the octave. Every single one of those relationships creates a different vibe, a different feeling, a different mood. And that is the beginning of getting into chord theory. You have a chord when you've got at least 3 notes, and that's called a triad. You've got 3 notes there, and those 3 notes can be a lot of different things. You can have major triads, you can have minor triads, you can have a lot of different types of those things, and you can also add other notes to a chord. So you can have chords with 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, 13. You can have all different types of notes in there. Of course, it gets very complex, but right now, just for today, we're going to focus on triads and chords that have 3 notes in them. So let's take a look first of all at the D major scale, and we'll use this as a basis for our chord building exercises for today. So we're going to do this on the melody string, coming up D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. And I'm playing those at the open 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5, and 7th frets. Now those notes also have numbers. Now I don't want to confuse you with this. What I just gave you were the numbers for the frets. Now I'm going to call out the numbers of each one of those notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total notes, total 7 different notes in the scale, and then 8 is our octave. Octo is Latin for 8. That names the fact that we've got 8 notes, starting with the root or the number 1 note and going all the way to the octave and ending with that same note but pitched higher. Okay, so how do we build a chord? Let's start with a major chord. Remember I talked about the relationships between notes and how we call them as intervals. Well, in order to build a chord, we start off with the root, and that's going to be the name of the chord. So if you start with the note D, we're going to build a D chord of some sort, and in this case we'll be playing a D major chord. So the interval we're looking for here, 2 of them, from D we're looking for a major third interval. And a major third interval is also going to be, coincidentally, the 3rd note of the D major scale, which is F sharp. So if I went from D to F sharp, that interval would be called a major third. You can find these all over the fretboard, and you can recognize this particular interval to lock it away in memory if you think about a song from The Sound of Music. Do a dear, do a dear. If you can keep that in your mind, you can find that interval all over the place, and this is really going to help you as you're trying to build chords on the fly. So that's the first interval. Our second note in a D major chord, D being the root of that chord, the lowest pitched note of that chord, and then on top of that D, we're going to put an F sharp. The next and the final interval is going to be what we call a perfect fifth. I won't get into details of why it's perfect, but I will say that it is also the 5th note of the D major scale, which is A. So if I were to play a D, the root note, and then play this A, the interval between those 2 notes is a perfect fifth. And you can very, very easily find what that is by singing the alphabet song or Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. A, B, C, D, twinkle, twinkle. Let's not leave out the sheep. Ba, ba, black sheep. No matter what you are playing, whatever key you're playing in, it may sound different, but the interval will be the same. Listen to the interval between G and D. Sounds different than this, but it also sounds a little bit alike. What sounds different is we're using different notes. What sounds the same is the same interval. Ba, ba, black sheep. So how about finding our third? Do, a deer. So just by knowing those 2 intervals, you could walk up here to G, add in your major third, which is going to be B, add in your perfect fifth, which is D, and you got yourself a G major chord. Same thing with A. If we go from A to C sharp, do, a deer. There's your major third. Go from A to the 5th, which is going to be E. A, B, C, D, ba, ba, black sheep. So, there's A, C sharp, and E. There's an A major chord. G, B, and D is a G major chord. D, F sharp, and A is your D major chord. And that's a very, very basic way of finding your major triads. Now I'm playing all those in the same string. It's not very effective if you want all those notes to play at the same time. So we have to find that note. We have to find the root note, the major third, and the perfect fifth on our different strings in order for it to be a true chord. This is where knowing what notes you have on your fretboard comes in handy, because you can look down and go, well, let's see, I want to play a D major chord. I have D here. For a major third, I'm looking for F sharp. I can use the 2 And then on the middle string, I want to play A. So we'll leave it open. So by playing the bass string open and the middle string open and then pressing down at the second fret on the melody string, we end up with D, F sharp, and A. I could also play that by leaving my finger here with F sharp, then going to the middle string on the third fret to play D, and then going on the bass string at the fourth fret to play A. So what's the difference between playing this and this? Well, it does sound a little bit different. It's definitely the same chord, but something inside of that chord changes a little bit. Let me play some other D major chords and listen to how the quality of the sound changes. Those are all D major chords. The difference that you're hearing is what's called the voicing of the chord. It's where the pitches are located for each one of those notes, D, F sharp, and A. And some of those, D and A, are nice and low. And in others, A is actually lower than D and F sharp. And so because those notes, they're going up and down in pitch, that changes the voicing of the chord, but we're not changing the actual notes, the actual ingredients of those chords. So we're getting different voices, and we can play different types of chords all up and down the fretboard. But those three notes are going to be the anchor for what we call our major chord. Let's play a G major chord. There's a G right here on the bass string. There's a D right there on the middle string, both at the third fret. And there's a B right there on the melody string at the fifth fret for an L shape. Here's a G major chord. I can also keep my finger down there for G. Come on down here and grab my B and leave melody string open for D. Same chord, different voicing, but definitely the same chord. A major, we can play the most hated chord in the mountain dulcimer universe, the 1, 2, 4. Boom, boom, boom. That's going to give us A here on the melody string. C sharp on the middle string at the second fret, fourth fret for the A, and then first fret for E on the bass string for A major. Of course, we can invert those chords and just flip them around. So there are a lot of different ways to play those same three chords, and those three chords are the most important chords for us as mountain dulcimer players when tuned in DAD. That's because those chords are the only naturally occurring major chords that we have. And most of the songs that we play are fiddle tunes and kind of up and happy tunes. So that's what you really want to get into your system, is basically the 1, 4, 5 chords. Those are chords built off the first, fourth, and fifth notes of the scale. First note of the scale, D. Fourth note of the scale, G. Fifth note of the scale, A. Coming out of that, we got D, G, and A, and those are very, very popular chords for the mountain dulcimer. All right, so that is how you make a major chord, a root, a major third, and a perfect fifth. Now we also have minor chords that we play with, and minor chords are kind of serious and sometimes sad sounding. So a major chord would be up and happy and, you know. Minor chords take it a little bit on the serious tip. Hear the difference? So what makes that difference? What makes the difference between a major chord and a minor chord? The answer is 1 half step. If you remember our last episode, we talked about how on the chromatic side over here, you can see that these are all half steps. These are all half steps. But on the diatonic fretboard that most people play, even though we've added some additional half steps to it, you can see that we've got wide spaces here where there is not a fret. And if you compare it across the way, you can see where those frets are missing. Those are whole steps. So our dulcimer that we typically play is going to be different. We're not going to have the same options that we have over here with the chromatic. So we have to be very careful about how we choose what we're going to play, when we play it, that sort of thing. So we've got major chords and we've got minor chords. So how do we get those minor chords? All you're going to do is take one note, and that's going to be that third. The root doesn't change between major and minor. The perfect fifth doesn't change between major and minor. What changes is the major third. That major third is going to come down a half step. That particular note is going to come down a half step. And when it does, we now have an interval of a minor third. So going from the root do a dear is a major third interval. But if I, instead of coming up to the second fret for this, and I do have a 1.5 fret, and I'm going to use it. Here's your major third interval. Now if I instead come on down here to F and not F sharp, so we've gone down a half step, we're going to take the sharp away, and if I play from the open D to F, this is now a minor third interval. And you can always tell a minor third interval if you think about Brahms' lullaby. Lullaby, lullaby. Or if you're into Nightmare Before Christmas, what's this? What's this? That's a minor third interval. So the root stays the same. The perfect fifth stays the same, but we're going to take that major third interval and flatten it and make it a minor third. So instead of playing 1, 3, 5, which is the first, third, and fifth notes of the scale, we're going to play 1, flat 3, 5. And that, my friends, is how we get a minor chord from a major chord. Just take that middle note and drop it down a half step. So here I want to play a 4-3-2 chord. That's D major. We have the perfect fifth A at the 4th fret on the bass string. We've got the root D on the middle string at the 3rd fret, and we've got the major third F sharp on the melody string at the 2nd fret. That's a big slap happy major chord right there. Now I'm going to take that F sharp, that major third interval. I'm going to drop it down to the F now and make it a minor third interval. Minor. Bring that F back up from a minor third interval to a major third interval. Back to major. Drop that major third interval down to a minor third. Now, not all of you can do that because not all of you have the 1.5 fret, but most of you out there probably have the 6.5 fret. So I'll demonstrate this same thing using an A major chord. Remember, an A major chord is going to be based off the 1st, 3rd, and 5th notes of the A major scale. A, C sharp, and E. That's going to be 4, 4, 6.5 for this L-shaped chord. A is on the bass string. That's our root. C sharp is on the melody string at the 6.5 fret. E is on the middle string at the 4th fret. So right below my thumb at the 6.5 fret, you can see I've got the 6th fret down there, allowing me to take this note down a half a step. So this goes from C sharp to C natural, from major third interval to minor third interval, and here's the difference. Major chord, minor chord, major chord, minor chord. With that little movement from major to minor, you can play one of the most dramatic parts from 2001: A Space Odyssey. Okay, maybe not. Anyway, so there's your major chord and there's your minor chord, how to build them. There are lots of other types of minor chords, and they have more than 3 notes, and that'll be for a future episode of Dulcimerica. We'll get into that. Right now we're going to keep it simple with just these triads for major and for minor. So basically, we don't have a lot of places on the mountain dulcimer fretboard where we can play both a major and a minor chord because we're missing some notes here. If you don't have a 1.5 fret, you're missing 4 notes from the chromatic scale. So we can't always have the option of playing major or minor. But there are a couple of places here where we can do that. We can do it with D, major to minor. We do the same thing with A. We can do it up here with E major to E minor. Notice in every single one of those cases, all I did was identify what the third is, the major third, and if I had the option, I dropped it down a half step to create the minor chord. And that's what you can do all over the fretboard. Now, for those of you who are playing chromatic dulcimer, you can do that with every single chord that you can play. You can play a major chord and a minor everywhere. And of course we have the 3 different chord shapes that work over here the same as they do on this side. So there you have the major triad, a root, a major third, and a perfect fifth. Then you have your minor triad, a root, a minor third, and a perfect fifth. Now that's all you need right now to get started with understanding chords and how to move them around. That's really all you need. And there'll be other episodes down the road where we will color in the rest of this, but have fun with this. And if you have any questions, you can always drop me a line at bingfutch@yahoo.com. And once again, I'll put a big plug out there for the book, Method for Beginning Mountain Dulcimer, which is a huge music theory compendium for the mountain dulcimer, available through my website or through Folkcraft Instruments website. Thank you guys for tuning in. Keep playing, have fun, and we'll see you soon here on Dulcimerica. Look at that. Oh, sunlight on Epcot.